So yesterday we talked about various functional strategies, and which were new product development strategy, uh, marketing and sales strategy, then operation strategies we talked about. So just a second. So how do we achieve that fit between the strategies? That is what we are going to discuss in this chapter. Achieving a strategic fit, and how we are going to achieve fit. I did talk you. I did talk about virtuous cycle. Yeah. So I did talk about virtuous cycle the other day, and so how do we define? Let's try to define strategic fit. So strategic fit, you can say, is defined as consistency between customer priorities of competitive strategy and supply chain capabilities. Okay, so consistency consistency between customer priorities of competitive strategy and supply chain strategy. Okay, so their goals should be the same. It's ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि competitive strategy is saying that you focus on high responsiveness and my supply chain is designed for cost efficiency. So that should not happen. We have also talked about some failures where they did not focus, their strategies were not aligned. For example, uh, when Pepper Tap was starting its business, they should have been more focused on cost initially, but rather they were more focused on responsiveness by uh, venturing into multiple cities together. Okay, so that is something they said they expanded pretty fast. So which should not have been the case. So how do we achieve this strategic fit? What are the steps of achieving this strategic fit? Step one: understanding the customer and supply chain uncertainty. Understanding how much uncertainty is there because of the customer. If a customer is not sure about it, to what extent he is not sure about the product he wants to purchase, or what are his requirements, his requirements, or how much uncertainty is there in the supply chain. What is uncertainty? What is uncertainty? Can anyone throw some light on it? What is uncertainty?
Something that is not expected may happen.
Something which you can't say for sure. Okay, now currently the kind of uncertainty which we have in all of our lives is whether there is going to be a third wave or not. So What are the repercussions of this uncertainty on supply chain? Let's understand this. Let's say some of you are probably in hostel. There is a mess in hostel. So, what is the effect of that uncertainty on your mess? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell? What is the effect of that uncertainty on the mess which is running? Are you? How many of you are there on campus? Please say yes if you are. How many of you are there on campus? Write yes in the chat box. That's surprising. None of you are there on campus. All of you are at home. Say if you are at home, say yes. Four. Four people have said that yes, they are at home. Five, six. Six people are at least listening and they are at home. Okay, seven. Okay, so I heard that some of you are maybe at on campus. Anyway, so still we can talk about the uncertainty of uh, third wave. I mean, are there going to be any further lockdowns? Will college operate for another 6 months or not? So that kind of uncertainty is there. Now, how it is affecting the mess? See, mess people have to plan for their raw material. Now, how much raw material do they keep? Because if they keep more, then it will all be left. Because that's what happened when the first time lockdown was there. There was a lot of food left in the mess, which had to be just distributed like that outside. So, every small person gets affected by uncertainties. Now, uncertainty could be there in many contexts. It's not only because of pandemic we are talking about uncertainty. Uncertainties are always there. So, what type of uncertainties could be there in a supply chain? It could be there. Can you give your responses here? What do you think? What type of uncertainties are there in supply chain? Just write anything which comes to your mind.
Instantaneous increase in demand.
Okay, so we can say demand is the first thing, obviously. So we can say quantity of product needed in each lot. You can say any other thing, any other
There
uncertainty.
is a shortage in raw material.
So we are specifying everything related to quantity as quantity. Okay, there's an uncertainty could be there in the quantity. Okay, any other thing? Prices. Okay, very good. Carvi says prices. Yes. Transportation. Very good. So you can say response time. Response time. Anything else? There are two, three things also which can be added. Think about it. Okay, I'll give. So it could be uncertainty in the variety required by customers. Uncertainty in the variety required by the customers. See, had you been producing only Amul butter, let's say, okay. So if only Amul butter you are producing, what variety do you expect in butter? There could be salted and unsalted. So uncertainty is fairly less. You talk about salt. Okay, tell me about the salt. Is there uncertainty, high uncertainty or low uncertainty in salt? Low, of course. So low uncertainty in only two types of salts are there. Three, you can say. Um, Low sodium and normal salt, and low sodium salt, and then you have that rock salt and all. So that all variety is there. So while in the automobile, I mean, it's difficult to anticipate. Or if you go talk about restaurants, so there's a lot of uncertainty in the restaurants. I mean, you are offering them a big menu from where the customers can pick whatever they want to eat. And at times you might have also heard that you picked up some exotic dish to eat, and sorry, we are not offering that dish right now. So you might have heard about it. How many of you have heard about this thing when you went, you ordered something and then it was not there, especially in restaurants where a lot of big menu is there. Raise your hand if you have experienced that. Okay, okay. Some people have experienced it. Good. So again, that's a. I mean, with that, of course, you can consider that there was a. You can say that as a shortage. If they are not able to offer what is there on the menu, you call that as a shortage and as a failure of supply chain there. So uncertainty is there in that. Then any other thing which you would like to say, that any other uncertainty we can add further in this? Updates in product. So we say variety. We still stick to variety. Updates. Updates. You can say in the product feature. Too much uncertainty is there in the uh, features. Don't. I mean, we can always link it with variety only. Under the umbrella of variety only, we can keep it updates in product features. And we can also add price of, price we have already written, service level required. Actually, this is a different concept which you probably are not aware about. Let's say I place an order for 1000 items, but I get 800. Okay, so my service level in this case is point 0.8, and 80%, you can say. My service level is 80%. So some customers may be more tolerant to variation in the service level. Some customers may be not that much tolerant to variation in the service level. For consumers, it may not be a big problem because we generally don't purchase in large quantities. I mean, if we generally take in small quantities, two soaps, three soaps, or one shampoo, two shampoo. But then distributors and retailers, they purchase in bulk or larger quantity. So the service level concept is more related with business to business transactions, and any variation in that could lead to disruption in supply chain, or could lead to increase in uncertainty between supply and demand in supply chain. Okay, so service level requirement, and then desired rate of innovation. So, as Shubhangi had said, that updates in product features, and we can say it as a desired rate of innovation. So, if the desired rate of innovation is high in a product, will the uncertainty be high or low in the demand of the product? I repeat again, if the desired rate of innovation I mean, the rate at which the updates come or the product gets updated is high, the demand for that product will be uncertain or highly uncertain or less uncertain. Can you give your responses here? Highly uncertain. Yeah, right, Karvi. Can you tell me why?
Sir, if the products keep changing, then we don't exactly know if the consumer will like the new update, or so the demand might increase or decrease based upon the likings of the update by the customer.
Very right, very right. So, innovation, because customer is always expecting something. Let's say I want to purchase a car right now. I know that every 6 months new car models are coming. I might want to wait. Let's see if I can use my present car for another 6 months. Maybe I will get another different technology, maybe more efficient engine I may get, or maybe more features I may get in a car. Maybe GPS integrated and all those smart features may get. Like, for example, Kia is there in the market, Seltos is there. So, what is the great thing about them? Can you tell me, anyone? Kia, I mean, these cars are there, no? New cars. Why are they successful right now? Anyone? Okay. So they are offering high degree of innovation. So since they are the market leaders in innovative car right now, because in that same range of, let's say, 15 12 to 15 lakhs, they are offering smart features in the car, like you can switch on and off your car AC while sitting in your home. And let's say you have to go after 1 hour and it's very hot outside, so you can switch on the AC of the car without actually, because for the people who are in buildings and all, it may not be a very convenient thing for them to go down and then start the car and put the AC on and then go back. So it may not be a very convenient option for the, especially for the people who are very sensitive to hot climate. I mean, you generally see that in metros and all, because a lot of pollution and all, and the car gets really heated up. So they would like to no. So these things are very concerning for some people, and they find it very comforting. So these are innovative features. Now soon, what if now I want to purchase a Maruti? So I think that this Seltos has bought these new features in the market, and I see down the line, 6 months down the line, uh, they are going to get incorporated in my new car also. So now, with these kind of things, what will happen to the automobile manufacturer? The 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 models which he's making right now are not are not having smart features, but he's still producing them. So uncertainty is created for him, that how many cars do I make now, because the other company is providing innovative features. I know I have to do that if I have to be in the market, but for this current model, how should I produce, how much should I produce? So this is uncertainty which is created by variety, I mean a desired rate of innovation. Same thing goes with the mobile phones. So Samsung in Android, whenever new features are bought by Samsung, and other companies are going to adopt it. So similarly, it might create more uncertainty. Okay, so I hope you understand now whatever we talked about. So right now we're talking about demand uncertainty. And why are we talking about demand uncertainty? Because the first step in achieving this strategic fit is to understand uh, uncertainty in customer demand and then supply also. We will talk about that. So, two types of uncertain demand are there on the basis of from the point of view of marketing department. So we can say there are two types of uncertainties. We can say one type of uncertainties is for which supply chain is ready, and the second type of uncertainty is in for which supply chain is not ready, or you can say unforeseen circumstances. So there are two types of uncertainties. One for which supply chain is ready. We call this one as implied demand uncertainty. Implied demand uncertainty is the type of uncertainty for which supply chain is ready. Okay, now for what type of uncertainties are you ready and how can you be ready for those uncertainties? Let's say whenever new features are introduced in certain product, a trend is seen in last 3 4 years. You have the data that whenever the feature was new features were introduced, the demand takes a dip of 10 to 12%. Okay, so you are going to reduce your production during that time. So you are prepared for that because you have already seen this happening. Or you can say seasonal changes are there. Seasonal, now the Diwali time is coming. So we know that okay, because of Diwali, what kind of products will see higher demand? Can you write in the chat box when the Diwali comes, what kind of products see increase in demand? Electronics, automobile, sweets, right? We can say consumer products. They see an uptick in the demand, and sweets, of course. You can also say, I mean, firecrackers are anyway sold during Diwali only. So in this case, supply chain will be ready for. I mean, there is uncertainty, of course, because you will not be able to predict what will be the exact demand. Uncertainty is anyway there, but then your supply chain will be ready, equipped. Equipped means how do you equip your supply chain? You ramp up your production, you ramp up your distribution, you ramp up your maybe if it is seasonal, then you create new retailers. Okay, so that's how you are prepared for uncertainty. Or and there are certain type of products like umbrellas are there, or you can say holy colors are there, or Rakhi is there. These are your once in an year kind of demand is there for these kind of products. So they don't fall in this category. But the consumer products, I mean, Yukta says lights, decorative items. Of course, lights you can say because lights are anyway used throughout year. There are occasions like marriages and some celebrations are there. So people do use lights and all throughout the year, but especially during the Diwali season, so you can say they are seasonal. That the demand is uh, their demand increases a lot during the festive seasons. So we can estimate, or we can have an estimate from the last year, our previous experience, that there's going to be some change in uncertainty in the demand, or there is going to be a variation in the demand in the coming time, and we can be ready for that. Then unforeseen circumstances. This giving this example was not that easy when the COVID was not there. Nobody has seen that. But then after COVID, now we have all seen that uh, because of unforeseen circumstances like lockdowns and all, where even factories were not working, there was no labor available. Even the factory is working, there are no trucks available, the trucks can't move across states. There was especially in 2020 the situation was much worse. Now the people have got used to it, and they have found out ways of operating in such conditions. But then there was a period from March to August where all the supply chains across India were disrupted totally because of unforeseen circumstances. So, while you were in lockdown, can you tell what, in your own experience, what type of supply chains, what type of product supply chains might have got affected? Can you write? Of course, your grocery was, for most of you, probably your grocery was coming regularly, but I did see some disruption in grocery also. Can you give your opinion? So non-essential items like, yeah, smartphones and other. I was trying to purchase some toys for my kids. I was not able to get them. Jewelry items. Yeah, I mean diamond supply chain got totally disrupted. It's still not working well. Anyone else? So non-essentials. So Varun has, I mean, in a way, in a nutshell, is told that all the non-essential item supply chain got disrupted. uh, Even only textbooks you were able to order. There was a time in from Amazon I was trying to order some books which are not textbooks, so even those books were not deliverable. uh, Stationery also was deliverable for after it was not available at all for some time, and at least the e-retailer supply chain was totally disrupted. Yeah, so we have seen the both situations, the both kind of uncertainties which we are talking about. So there is a spectrum. We say we can make a spectrum. Here on this side we have high demand. In this side we have a highly uncertain supply and demand. Supply and demand. And on this side we have predictable supply and demand. Okay. Now I would like to place some products on both the sides. I would like to write some names of the products which fall on either sides. So, uh, can you suggest some products for which the supply and demand are highly predictable? Yes, I think I should be calling names now. You are not, many of you are not showing any uh, interaction. So, Drone Sharma, you are there? Drone Sharma, you are there?
Yes, sir.
So, can you tell name of a product for which the supply and demand are highly predictable?
Name of a product.
Anyone else who has the answer can also tell. Okay, Janvi,
Yes, sir.
would you like to tell?
So groceries, maybe.
Groceries. Can you tell an item in grocery for which supply and demand are predictable? I would like to hear very specific example. Daily consumables, tea and coffee, right? Uh,
So
Even
dairy products.
dairy products, you can say dairy, yes. You can say salt. Dairy, not specifically dairy, I would not write dairy, but milk. Because ice creams also come in dairy and cheese and all those things also come in dairy. So I'll simply say milk, salt, sugar, petrol, right or not? Because these things people use on daily basis. Their daily consumption is very much stable for these things. Most of you, for most of you, I think if you are taking milk, you are definitely taking it at certain time only. You just don't go on randomly and have milk, uh, pour a milk in the kitchen. I mean, there could be some people, but on an average, I'm not. Nobody does that. It becomes part of your routine. Salt consumption in a household is generally more or less constant. Sugar consumption is more or less constant, except during the festive season, you can say. Petrol consumption. If you are going to office on daily basis, your petrol consumption would be by and large constant. So these are things for which you can say that predict the demand and supply are fairly predictable. Then you have other side of the spectrum, stationary items like pen, pencil, notebooks. Yes, you can say that, but still there's variety, lot of variety in stationary items. So I would place stationary items over here. While if you see milk, salt, sugar, petrol, not much variety. So the demand of overall, if you say under umbrella of stationery, you can say that okay, it might be stable, but because of variety, lot of companies are there, lot of variety is there. The stationery items fall just in the middle, where it could be predictable supply and uncertain demand, or uncertain supply or predictable demand, or somewhat uncertain supply and uncertain demand, we can say. So highly uncertain we talk about now. Highly uncertain supply and demand. Can you name a product?
Medicines.
How Arun?
Medicines.
Medicines. Medicine actually, uh, you can say specialty medicines, or the medicines for rare diseases. Medicines for rare diseases. Okay, while the on the counter OTC medicines, you can say, are predictable in supply and demand. OTC is a on the counter available, means you don't need a prescription to purchase these medicines. So they are predictable in supply and demand. While some other form of medicines are there, uh, where the dosage may be very much different. And like if you go to purchase a Disprin, nobody asks you what should be the mg of that, how many milligrams of Disprin do you need, or a Crocin. While, but if you go to take blood pressure, diabetes medicines, so their dosage is different from person to person. So those kind of medicines, you can say chronic medicines for chronic diseases, they are somewhere in the middle range, where either predictable supply, uncertain demand, or uncertain supply and predictable demand. While for medicines, you can always say it's predictable supply and uncertain demand. Electronic products fall on the right side of the spectrum. Electronic products, they fall over here. Where would the automobiles follow? I mean, automobiles. Where do I place the automobiles? In middle, on left, or on right? Give your answer. Write your answer in the chat box. Where should I place the automobiles? Left, right, middle. Varun says middle. Shubhangi, middle. Ritika, middle. Good. Yeah. Yukta, Karvi. So you people are right. They are going to, I mean, automobiles, they fall in the middle. They are just more or less like medicines. Okay, so now I think we understand the meaning of implied demand uncertainty. Now, I'll share another slide where we can quickly see some aspects. So we see here range of quantity required increases. If the, I mean, how do I read this table? On the left hand side you have customer needs, and on the right side you have, if the customer need is like this, what happens to the implied demand uncertainty? For example, if the range of quantity required increases, if the range of quantity required increases, your implied demands uncertainty increases. I mean, that is obvious. If your implied demand uncertainty increases, there will be larger demand, and there will be larger variance in the demand then. I mean, not larger demand does not mean that customers will need more. It means that the inventory in the supply chain is going to get inflated if the range of quantity required increases, because you would not, nobody wants to have a shortage. I mean, you can keep extra, but you don't want to lose your revenue. You lose a customer, and at times the customer may not come back. Even if you go to purchase, let's say, a certain item in the market, and if it is not available on that shop but is available on the adjacent shop, so you will not go to the older shop one, even though that guy keeps those things. Or consider yourself going to purchase a type of biscuit a biscuit variety which you are very fond of. Okay, and you have just moved to a new location. There are three shops there. I mean, grocery shops. So you go to one guy, that biscuit was not available. You go to the second guy, the biscuit was not available. You ask the third guy, and the biscuit was available. Now, even though all the three keep the biscuit, but at that certain point of time, biscuit was not available with retailer A and retailer B, but was available with retailer C. So it's natural the next time when you're going to go to purchase that biscuit, you're always going to go to retailer C. So in a way, who has lost the revenue over here? Can you tell me between A, B, and C? I mean, between A and B, who has lost the revenue? Who has lost the customer? A or B? I mean, C has gained the customer, but between A and B, who has lost the customer? A, yeah, because had you purchased from A initially, you would have always gone to A because you know that now it's then in your mind that he keeps this thing, so I'll go to him only. Why do I go to another person? So the what other two retailers are going to do is they are going to purchase that product now. They are going to keep more inventory of that, even though you are not going to go to purchase it, but they are keeping it. So it inflates the demand for the manufacturer, although the demand may not be there. And variance in the demand also increases because uh, if multiple people do the same thing, then actual demand is something else, and the production which has been done by the manufacturer will be something else. Similarly, we can read other rows also, like if the lead time decreases. If the customer wants that lead time should decrease, that means you ship me the product as early as possible. I'm not um, I'm not comfortable with waiting. I want it quickly. मेरे को फटाफट चाहिए. जो पहले दे देगा उसी से ले लूंगा मैं. So then what's going to happen is your implied demand certainty is going to increase. Why it is going to increase? Because for the simple reason that customer is less willing to wait, and in that jiffy, you don't know that if you keep the product, if that product comes in 6 days, that customer may or may not take it. Okay, so you get less time to react to orders. Similarly, you can read this table, and like variety of products required increases, then your implied demand density increases because demand per product becomes disaggregate. So demand per product becomes disaggregate means that uh, let's say you have a demand of 100 units of a mobile phone, and there is only one type of variety. So the demand of one mobile phone is 100. Now this particular company has started offering five different products, but the demand is same only. So now 100 demand, but five different type of varieties available. 100 units is the demand, and but five different variety. So per variety you can say there are 20 units. Hmm? So economies of scale are being lost over here, and at the same time uh, the uncertainty is increasing because you don't know. Here we are assuming, by writing 20, we are assuming that every variety of the mobile is having equal demand, but that will not be the case. It is definitely going to be some proportion, like X%, Y%, Z%, like this. Now you don't know this percentage split. You know 100 mobile phone demand is there, but ये produce करने में तो आपको अलग skill चाहिए, अलग machine चाहिए, and you can't produce in the same setup. But different, you need different setups for producing X, Y, and Z type of mobile phones. So here is another issue over here, that your demand get disaggregated. This is called demand disaggregation across because of the increase in the variety. You don't want that to happen. If the number of channels through which product may be acquired increases, that means if I can purchase a mobile phone from a retailer near my home, I can purchase it from website, I can purchase it from showroom. Okay, I can purchase it from OLX. Okay, because on OLX also you may find some new phones. So is the same thing as we talked about the variety. Here, the variety of channels through which you can acquire the product increases. So nobody knows that through which medium should I be selling more, because you have to ensure availability. क्योंकि मीडियम चेंज होगा तो आपको उसकी लोकेशन भी चेंज करनी पड़ेगी. So again, it increases the demand uncertainty. Rate of innovation, I think we already talked about it, and required service level increases. I think we already talked about it. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any doubts, you can ask, or else we will conclude. Any doubts?